What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Bulls Latest. Your host, Matt Johnson here. Going to kick off this week recapping the weekend that was for the Chicago Bulls. A very solid performance for Chicago over the two contests over the weekend. The Bulls continue to play good basketball here in this stretch. They're looking good in all facets of the game here. You have to be pleased if you're a Bulls fan. I know I certainly am. Finally seeing them start to string together consecutive good performances here. Consistency is kind of what we've been looking for. Has not been there through the majority of the last couple of weeks here. The Bulls had a really rough stretch here, but now they're starting to continue to string together good performances. The Bulls did take care of the Cavs in Cleveland Friday night in a 136-125 victory, and then they went on to beat Atlanta on the road Sunday afternoon in a thriller. It was 152-150 to cap off a 3-0 week for the ball club. Trae Young missing at the buzzer there. A crazy finish there in Atlanta, but the Bulls sneak away with that victory after really struggling for that stretch where they lost 7 in a row. It's really good to see this team in this spot, kind of building some momentum and getting healthier, and I'll get into that in a little bit here. So the improved to 13-15 on the year. Plenty of basketball left. They're trending in the right direction as we head into Christmas week here. Christmas always a landmark for the NBA season. Once you hit Christmas, things start to speed up here in terms of the pace of the season, and you kind of look ahead to where you're kind of sitting as an organization. The trade deadline, obviously, a few months away, but we're getting there. It's going to go quick, so hopefully the Bulls keep stringing together wins. I certainly hope they continue to build off of the momentum they had from this weekend. The Bulls kind of looking into some reinforcements they got back over the weekend. They got some guys back Friday night that have been, in particular, Ayo Dosunmu returning to action, and then Tre Jones also got back into this one. We're both on a minutes restriction. They were held to 24 minutes, but it was great to see Ayo back in action. This was actually the first time all season the Bulls had everybody on Friday night, with the exception of Noah Senge. Obviously, he's out for the season with that heartbreaking injury there. They'd go 2 games in a row doing this. Sunday afternoon, the Bulls were also fully healthy. So both games over the weekend, the Bulls fully healthy. That's got to make you, excited. I know I certainly am very frustrated with the Bulls' injury troubles up to this point. On Friday, it was notable as well in terms of who they were playing. Donovan Mitchell and Craig Porter Jr. were out for Cleveland on Friday night. So no Donovan Mitchell definitely kind of helped the Bulls win that contest, but I think the Bulls had a strong effort nonetheless. But overall, it's good to get these guys back and into the fold. In particular, Ayo Dosunmu, I think he'll continue to be a big part of this team. And keeping Tre Jones healthy is going to be critical in terms of the Bulls' success moving forward as well. However, it is interesting, and I wanted to kind of touch on this as well. The rotations are kind of looking different now that they finally have everybody healthy. And this was, in particular, Nikola Vucevic. He was replaced early in the first quarter by Zach Collins for a second straight game on Friday night. Vooch confirmed to the media that Billy Donovan came to him recently, talked to him about his rotation change, so Donovan can utilize Jalen Smith and Zach Collins together. This is something I talked about a few episodes ago, but you're going to start to see that, and it sounds like Vooch has bought into that idea. Vooch did speak on the switch-up. He said, quote, "Now that we're getting more whole, Billy wanted to try something new. Most of my career, I've been playing long stints, but I was open to it. It would be, it could be good long-term for me and the team as well," Nikola Vucevic said. So he also went on to express that it's a little different rhythm for him. He said that he'll try to get used to it. He does not mind it. He played a lot of minutes early in this season, so it may not be a bad thing long-term to help him be more efficient, I think. Both Zach Collins and Jalen Smith deserve to have minutes there. Obviously, they've been playing really good basketball coming back. So I think it's a huge thing that your star player in the essence of Nikola Vucevic is okay buying into this role. I think that's huge. And you tell me it may have to do something with him knowing that he could be on the move come trade deadline time. So why would he go out and complain and put that out to the media? I honestly, I think that it's just the fact that Vooch has always been a team player and he always carries that leadership factor. And I think it still kind of sits in the middle of this organization and it stands out. This guy's been a leader and he continues to be a leader. And I think it's awesome that he's embracing this new role. And I mean, they've won now 4 of their last 5 games, so they're going to continue to try this out. And I think it could be a great thing for the rotation moving forward. So, I just think, when you look at how this Bulls team is constructed, there's not really one way that you need to put these lineups out there night in and night out, with the exception of some of the core guys like Matas Buzelis. And, I consider Nikola Vucevic a core guy, but however he's utilized, I'm kind of fine with it. Looking at another note roster-wise from the Cavs game on Friday night, we did not see Pat Williams in the first quarter with the Bulls at their fullest strength all season for the first time. And obviously in Atlanta, they were the same way. But Williams did open the second quarter, and that's another guy who it's confusing to kind of see how he's going to be utilized, but with them fully healthy, expect him to come off the bench more often. I think that Pat Williams is a guy who you can really plug in and start if need be, but he continues to be a solid role player, and I think he will find himself in that role more often now that the Bulls are at better roster strength here. So kind of looking at, some notable performances over the weekend for the Chicago Bulls. In terms of the box score, Matas Buzelis had a monster weekend. Awesome to see him get going. I talked about him not too long ago, in terms of him kind of not struggling, but kind of had some lower outputs there. But Matas had 24 points Friday night at Cleveland. Vooch had 24 points and 14 rebounds Friday at Cleveland. We had 7 guys in double figures that night, 34 assists, and the Bulls shot 52% against the Cavs in that victory. On Sunday, Matas continued his hot stretch. He had 28 points. He shot 10 of 11 and 7 of 8 from 3. So Matas was really lighting it up in Atlanta on Sunday. We had 9 players in double figures Sunday, and that was only the 4th time in franchise history that's happened. So that's pretty awesome to see that for Chicago. 9 guys in double figures. The Bulls shot a season high 57.6%. against the Atlanta Hawks there. That was an unbelievable offensive output. They set up, that was history for the Chicago Bulls. So I hope you guys tuned into that contest, that matinee contest, and we're able to watch it. That was some exciting basketball. So, in terms of the 152 points for the Bulls, that's tied for the second most in regulation in franchise history. So that was record breaking in terms of an offensive performance for this Bulls team. It's also the 3rd time in franchise history with 40 or more assists in a game. So crazy to think that they put up those numbers. I'm not surprised, though. I said it. I think when this team is fully healthy, they have the ability to score the basketball. My concerns at the beginning of the year came at the defensive side of the floor, and I thought that they could be a juggernaut on offense when they're going and clicking on all cylinders, and you saw that over the weekend. So certainly excited for that. I think that's awesome to see. And moving into the week ahead, that's some good momentum that we're going to have moving into 3 contests that I think are going to be a challenge for Chicago. Looking at Christmas week, 3 games on the docket. You got Tuesday at Atlanta, so they'll see the Hawks again. That kicks off 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Friday versus the Sixers at 6:30 p.m. on Prime Video, and then Saturday versus Milwaukee. That's 7 p.m. You'll see that on Saturday there. Prime Video is actually where that Friday game is going to be broadcast. The Sixers always bring it when they come into town, so it's going to be some good basketball moving in this week. Look for the Bulls to stay hot. It's exciting that we have the momentum moving into this week. The Bulls are playing good hoops, and they're healthy. Who can ask for more moving into this stretch of basketball? So anyway, I want to, thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Bulls Latest. Let's hope for another great week for this Bulls organization. Thanks again. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of this Bulls team moving into the week, and we will see you guys next time.